Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk self-care, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. As always, thank you for tuning in. Hello, and welcome back to the Tuning In podcast. This week, we are talking about feelings, and in particular, how to feel your feelings. And that might sound silly, that might sound like something you already know how to do, but I actually walk you through a really specific process that I use when I have uncomfortable emotions, something that I tend to like to avoid, but have learned to actually deal with and lean into. I'll also be sharing a couple stories that you may resonate with as well. So without further ado, here's this week's podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Tuning In podcast. So I am sitting here in my closet and I just had my pumpkin spice latte. And if you have not had this recipe, I posted it at alignful.com/blog, and I recreated the pumpkin spice latte, making it bulletproof and healthy. And let me tell you, it's a paste that you can add to your coffee throughout the week, so it's easy and quick to make, and it's delicious. So if you haven't tried that, go to alignful.com/blog and give it a try. But to up the cozy factor, I'm going to light my favorite candle. I love that sound. And I want us to kind of settle in to this moment here together. So if you're in a space where you can be quiet, where you can close your eyes, I'd like to invite you to do so. Go ahead and close your eyes. And let's take a deep breath in together, inhaling through the nose. Hold it at the top, and then release. One more like that, inhaling through the nose. Hold it at the top, and then release everything that you're holding onto. Take a moment to sit in that feeling. Honestly, we can be so busy with our days that we forget to close our eyes, we forget to breathe, we forget to be in our bodies. Our bodies, these beautiful, amazing things that carry us through every single day. And yet we just go, and then we go some more. And if something comes up that we don't like, that we aren't feeling, we just work harder and push through it, push past it. And what happens is we often don't give ourselves a chance to really, truly feel. So close your eyes again if you open them. Turn your gaze inward and ask yourself, how am I feeling in this moment? What comes up for you? What comes up when you ask that question? Maybe it is a feeling in your body, or maybe it's a thought in your mind. But whatever comes up, I would just like you to take a moment to honor that. Notice without judgment how you are feeling. So, man, that feels nice, doesn't it? Sometimes our bodies, if they don't feel heard, if we don't honor what is coming up, it's fine temporarily, but without fail, it will come up louder and louder and louder until you're forced to listen. So simply closing your eyes from time to time and asking, how am I feeling, is a way for you to feel. It's a way for you to recognize what's going on beyond the external circumstances, what's going on inside, and give it a chance to be heard. I talk about feelings a lot. I didn't really recognize that until my good friend Shannon, who will actually be on the show in the next couple of weeks, she pointed out to me that I'm constantly asking about how she feels, and she is not a feeler in the same way I am. And I think a lot of us aren't. I love to tap into feelings, emotions, talk through them, talk about them, experience them. And listen, I'm a Pisces, Pisces sun, Gemini moon. I am in Myers-Briggs ENFP, so that's extrovert. I forget the others, but the F is the feeling part. And I'm an Enneagram 7. And in the human design scale, I am a projector. So those words may mean nothing to you. I recommend, if you want to learn more about yourself, if you want to do a little deep dive, check out Myers-Briggs, Enneagram Institute, Human Design, and some astrology, because those are really fun ways to learn more about you. And here's one thing that I can tell you about all of the things that I've learned about myself. All the things I already kind of knew is that I am a feeler. I want to talk about feelings. I don't want to think through things. I just want to express emotions, and, it has a bright side and it has a shadow side. But where I think I really am strong in this area, and why I'm here talking about feeling your feelings today on this podcast, is that I actually believe we live in more of a thinking world. We live in a logical, practical, think through the steps, think about the consequences, think through limited belief systems. We think a lot. And while there's a lot of value to thinking, and especially strategic thinking and thoughtfulness, where I believe and I feel and I think that we fall short is in feeling. And listen, the funny thing about all of this is, as a kid, I didn't want to feel sad things. So I always expressed my emotions, right? I would express I feel sad. And my mom would always laugh because I was very good at speaking to what I was feeling. I could verbalize it very well. But as I started to get older, those feelings became a little overwhelming and I started to shut them down. So much so that one of my best friends, I remember one time she told me, "You have a cold heart." And it's actually something I related quite well to in middle school and through high school, is I did not want to feel. I didn't want to feel feelings like that. I remember I went to see the movie Stepmom, if anyone remembers that movie. Oh my God. With my friend Sarah, the one who said I have a cold heart, and my mom. And they were crying. Spoiler alert, the mom dies. It's tragic. And I didn't cry. I didn't want to cry, so I didn't allow myself to cry or feel. I shut it down. And one thing I learned through the Enneagram test, I'm an Enneagram 7. And the interesting thing about 7s is we really don't want to deal with difficult emotions. And we have a really tactful knack for turning things into good. So even a 7, at their worst, is a lot of people at their best, because 7s are just joyful. They look for the good. They see the joy. But as always, the shadow side of that is that they often don't allow themselves to experience and move through difficult emotions. Anxiety, sadness, sometimes even frustration, anger, pain. We like to move around those emotions, not through them. So here we are today. I am a feeler, and I'm sure a lot of you are feelers out there as well. And I don't want difficult emotion in my life. So what do we do? How can we move from a place of knowing things are not always going to be good, knowing life isn't always going to be cheery and sunshiny, and allowing ourselves to feel that without judgment, without criticism, without, I don't want to say without pain, but it can be a less painful process if we express how we're feeling. Because like I said earlier, if you don't express and you don't let your feelings to come up and surface and move through them, they will keep building until you can't keep them down anymore. You can't avoid them anymore. And either that will show up in a physical way. You'll have physical pain because our bodies store emotions. Or it can show up in a way where you snap at someone, a friend, a coworker, your spouse, because you've been shutting it down for so long that you're full and you tip over. So we know that those things are not exactly desirable. Like, you never feel great when you get pushed over the edge and you just snap at someone. You also don't feel great when you suddenly have physical manifestations of emotional pain. Oh, you're like, why do I feel this way? How did this come from? Why do I suddenly have, foot pain? Or why is my neck suddenly just so tight I can't move it? It's not suddenly. And that's the deal with when we express an emotion that we've been suppressing and we act as though, or are surprised that we suddenly lost our cool. Know that it's not suddenly. These things express themselves after a lot of build up. And if you don't want that to happen, we have to release the pressure more often, right? We have to release the pressure more often. Just like when you're fermenting food. I always come back to these food references. They call it burping the bottle. If you keep a bottle of food that's fermenting completely sealed, it will literally burst and explode. But if you open it once a day, a few times a week, and let it, quote, burp and release some of that pressure, then you can seal it back up and you create a really lovely fermented food. So we too need to, for lack of a classy phrase, we need to burp our emotions on the regular, my friends. And there are ways that we can do that without losing control. Because I think a lot of us feel that if we are to feel our emotions regularly, we'll be the definition of that like overly emotional woman who can't keep her stuff together and is always crying in public and reacting all the time. No, that's actually not what it looks like. That's what it looks like when you've kept your stuff sealed for way too long and you lose control. Expressing emotions is not losing control. Keeping your cool, having the cold-hearted attitude that I had for years in high school where I just didn't want anyone to see me cry or for me to cry, it is not really keeping you in control at all, because as we discussed earlier, it's just building up until you crack or burst. But on the regular basis, expressing emotions is so healthy. Why? Because you're able to tap into who you really are and what you're feeling in any given moment. And if you're aware of what you're feeling and what is causing that feeling, whether it's your thoughts or your thoughts about external circumstances or a physical manifestation, if we're aware of what we're feeling in any given moment, don't you think that then we can process that and shift how we feel? Don't you think that if you have a better understanding of what's going on inside, you can heal that every day, process that every day, so that you then can show up better for yourself and others every day? What if feeling our feelings, experiencing them, expressing them in a healthy way was actually the best opportunity for us to be and have more control in our lives? What if that experience of your emotion was exactly what you need to move through it so that you can release the heaviness, the burden, the frustration that you're sitting with. No one likes to sit on frustrations. No one likes to have this anxiety that's just floating around and you don't know what to do about it. But there is something to do about it. And that's to feel it. I know. It sounds so simple. Feel your feelings. And I hear people talk about this as well. And as with many of these kind of woo-woo or self-care type terms, I think it's washed out in a lot of ways, and it's a throwaway phrase, and it's only as useful as your willingness to actually practice it. We can understand something conceptually, right? That's our thinking mind. We do a lot of that. But if we don't put it into practice, then we can't truly understand it, know it deep in the core of our bodies, of our hearts. Thus, we don't know it. Understanding something and knowing it from experience is not the same thing. I want you to experience feeling your feelings. I want you to notice what comes up in any given moment and be able to look at that and say, oh yes, I know this feeling. In fact, I'm quite familiar with it, and it's nothing to be afraid of. It's not something that I need to tuck away or push down or hide. I don't need to control this feeling or protect myself and others from it. In fact, not only do I not need to control it, but I need to let it wash over me so that I can let it go. For a feeling is nothing more than a physical sensation of energy in my body. And if my body stores energy and stores emotions, why do I need to hold on to them? For my body is fluid. My body can move. I can move my body. I don't need to hold on to this emotion. I can let it ebb and flow through me, just like the water I drink and the air I breathe. My feelings, my emotions, they're part of me, but they don't need to define who I am. But in order for them to not take over, to not control me, I must feel them in every moment. And to feel them is to trust and experience and allow and know that this feeling can pass. And it may not be in a day or a moment or a week. It may take more time. But honoring that time, trusting what it is, what it means to feel is exactly what I need to know in order to be free. To be free of the emotion, to be free of the burden of controlling everything I feel. That is what I seek. That is what we need to allow in order to be. And as we've talked about before, being is presence. And when you're here in the present moment, then you're able to feel what you're feeling. And to feel it is to release it. Okay, I know that got a little, my inner voice sometimes takes over a little bit when I'm doing these podcasts. I don't know if you guys pick up on that, but let me bring you back to the practical. Let me speak back to your thinking mind. Here is how we can experience an emotion in a given moment without suppressing it and without letting it completely take us off the deep end. And I'm going to have you, if you can, I'm going to ask you to do this with me right now. Earlier this week, oh dear me, I had an extreme bout of anxiety. And when these feelings come up, like I talked about, we'll either push them down or we'll resist them. And you may have heard the phrase, what you resist persists. So we know that resisting an emotion is only resisting what is. And that means that you're going to create more of that because you're thinking about what you don't want. For example, anxiety. We also know that pushing it down and trying to move around the emotion isn't helpful, because then it's only going to build up and express itself in an inappropriate way. So what is the alternative? We don't resist it, we don't avoid it. What if you lean into the emotion? What if you notice it and say, "Oh, hi, anxiety. Haven't seen you in a couple weeks. Let's check in." And that's what I want you to do. So what I did, and this is the practice I'll walk you through, is I noticed this uncomfortable feeling like something's wrong. That's anxiety. And for me, I felt it in my chest. My heart felt a little fluttery, felt some tightness in my rib cage. Breathing wasn't as fluid as I would like. And I felt kind of trapped, like, you want to do something, but you feel stuck all in the same time. So what do? Well, you lean into it. And here's how. I closed my eyes. And I would like you to do that as well. Close your eyes. At the beginning, you asked, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? Ask yourself that question again. Now, ask yourself, where is this feeling in my body? Is it your chest? Is it your belly? Maybe a shoulder, your neck, your jaw, your feet, your ribs? There's no right or wrong answer, but find a little sensation in your body that lights up with this feeling that you're experiencing, this emotion. Go there with your eyes closed. Send your attention, send your energy there. And explore it. Imagine you're like a little submarine and you're just floating around that area of the body. You got a little flashlight, you're shining light on, what's going on here? You may notice the feeling intensifies, or a sense of discomfort of wanting to leave this place. Feelings pass though. Stay with it, stay there, find your breath. You can even bring your hand to that area of your body. All energy and attention goes there. And then this is a good time to ask some questions. What's coming up with this feeling? Why is it spending time in this part of my body? What do I need to release it? How can I let go and still honor this feeling? What lesson do I need to learn from this feeling? And breathe, my friends. Breathe deeply into that space and explore and experience and release and relax and be. You are here. You're honoring your body. One more deep breath in. Into that space of tightness, of discomfort. And then through your mouth, exhale. Release. And blink your eyes open. With that practice, when you exhale as many times as you need, you can say, I release this emotion. I honor and release this emotion. Now, here's the deal. Just because you do it once, it's not a magic pill that makes the emotion go away. Obviously, you may have some actions that you need to take. You may have some journaling that you want to do. And you may just move through your day knowing that this feeling it's with you like a little wallet that you're carrying around. But my point here and my offering for each of you is start to check in. Just a few moments closing your eyes and finding your way to the feelings, and especially where they are in the body, is so powerful. The more you make this a regular practice, the more your body will start to trust that you are in fact willing to feel the feelings, feel into the feelings, and move through them so that you can release them. There's many, many, many more practices that you can do. I just wanted to offer you this because it's a very practical, physical way to experience it. You can do it in your car, in the parking lot. You can do it lying in bed before you sleep. You can do it when you wake up in the morning at your office chair. It doesn't matter, in line at the coffee shop. It's a very easy and accessible way to tap in, to check in, to tune in. I hope you try it. I want us all to start to be a little more willing to experience these feelings, especially the uncomfortable ones, especially the ones where you think, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I need to get over this. I need to get over this. What if you don't need to get over it? What if you need to lean into it in order to get through it? What if the simple act of honoring and recognizing and paying attention to the feelings that are coming up are exactly what you need to get to the other side? And only you will be able to know this. I can share my own experiences and offer to you. But unless you do it, you can hear it and say, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to listen to my emotions and feel my feelings. Unless you actually make it a practice and start doing it on a regular basis, you'll never truly know. And you'll never truly know how wonderful it does feel to move through your emotions, let them have their say, and move on. Honor and release. Honor and release. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Just like everything else, this is a practice. And if you do try it, please let me know in the review over on Instagram at Dana_Evans, because this work is something that we all have access to. And there's nothing I want more than for more of us to experience it as a collective, as a whole. I'm so grateful for all of you, and I can't wait to hear what's next as you start to feel your feelings. As always, thank you for tuning in this week. If you want to learn more and follow my journey, you can find me on Instagram at Dana_Evans. And you can always find more detailed topics and discussions on the blog at alignful.com/blog. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. What if you could get an hour back each week and spend it on yourself? Not just scrolling through Instagram, checking email, or responding to the demands of work, but actually doing things that fill you up. What if you could bring yourself back toward alignment so that your thoughts, feelings, and actions are in line with what you want, need, and desire? So you feel connected to yourself, are clear about your needs, and can confidently say no. So you can hear the soft inner voice encouraging you to take care of yourself first, so that you can trust yourself to make decisions that serve you. Let's find this alignment together. I am hosting a free fireside chat to help you find alignment in your everyday life, so you stop trying to get through the week and learn to flow through it with inspiration, joy, and time. If you'd like to join, go to the show notes to register.